Welcome to a special live stream of Sunday Night Let's Talk. Got MikeO on right now. Hope Nats fan might join. I forgot about me starting an hour early. I've been working overtime all weekend. Time getting away from me a little bit. But we got Mike, who I really want to chat with this weekend on the topic that I want to talk about. And we'll get to that in a minute. I'm wearing my O's hat. You'll see it tomorrow's video too. The Orioles clinching at least a playoff spot. I think them and the Rays have, as Mike said before he went on. Did the Orioles win today? Because they were only up by one playing Tampa today. I haven't seen a final.
Yeah, I'm not positive. I've had a busy day myself, so I did see last few innings of the Phils game and been kind of keeping up a little bit with the football. Not doing a great job with the baseball. I know the Dodgers are on MLB Network, so I'm not sure, but it is nice to see the Baltimore Orioles back in the postseason. It's probably been 5 years, something like that, when they had their last run.
Yeah, I have the shirt for it. Let's see, it's on the side of this one. Let's see, 2014.
Okay, so a little more. I'm going to say I believe they played in the ALCS.
They might
the year that Mike Trout and the Angels last made the playoffs. I do remember that. I think they fell short to the Tigers, if I remember right.
Thank you, Pyre. So now that means they're two games up on Tampa, which is huge, and they don't play Tampa again. That's it, and they own the tiebreaker with Tampa. So a lot of big things there.
And I think the American League is wide open. I mean, both leagues are wide open to a degree. I think the Braves will be pretty sizable betting odds favorites in the National League.
Yeah,
but the Dodgers are very good. And both of those teams have some question marks in the pitching staff, so you never know what can happen in the postseason. But the AL, I really don't. At least I don't see a clear-cut favorite. Like if someone said, "Hey, here's $100, you have to put it on someone," honestly, just thinking logically and based on experience, I'd probably go with the Astros just because they've been the ALCS for 6 straight years. They've been the World Series 4 times. They've won a couple. But they have some issues this year too, and I will certainly be rooting for just about every team other than them. But I think that's going to make October baseball really fun, and it's good to see. It's always good to me, and I know people like to see new teams, and I do as well. But you want a team like the Astros and the Yankees before them and whoever, even the Braves maybe at this point, when you have some teams returning year after year and you're used to it, that gives the newer teams like the Orioles something to aspire to. Like, hey, we want to beat them and we want to be like them.
Right.
Not in terms of the whole, buzzer trash can thing, but in terms of being a team that's in the postseason, continuously and
with the
Astros, making some waves. So we'll see.
I think the Astros have shown some fatigue this year. They have played a lot more games than most teams have. They and the other team. So I don't know if I would put my money on the Astros because of that, and that's been proven before. Teams that play a lot postseason baseball tend to fatigue out sooner or later. And also the other one that we mentioned is the Braves. And here's my problem with the Braves. And this is the problem I saw with the Braves string of runs in the 90s. They get out in such a big lead. By 3 months into the season, what are they playing for? They're just going through the motions and winning ball games. And then when it seems like when they get to a postseason, it's almost like, oh shoot, we got to put the pedal down now. Do we have
that is certainly a disadvantage to,
right?
Not only have they been playing front runner since April, but clinching. I mean, they clinched a division in Philadelphia a few days ago. So when you clinch, I did not, but I saw it on television. clinching so far ahead of time, it's like, how do you prepare for that? How do you stay mentally sharp? Obviously, you don't want to get injured. You don't want to
Right.
overextend pitchers. So you kind of have to scale back a little bit before turning it back on. So we'll see. I mean, that's what makes playoff baseball and playoffs in any sport a lot of fun,
Yeah,
the
I
uncertainty
I'm
and,
ready for the
different
playoffs.
rooting interests.
I know we got the last couple of playoff spots are going to come down to, and probably the American League Central is going to come down to probably the last few games of the season. Um, I but I am just ready for some playoff baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. I could definitely do without some of these recent Phillies games. So we'll see. And I do want to mention real quick, too, before we get going too much, hoping for the best for Charlie Manuel, manager of the 2008 Philadelphia Phillies World Championship team, had a stroke yesterday.
Oh shit!
So he this morning they kind of said things were looking pretty good, but he's still in the midst of like that 24-hour period where they say it's pretty critical. So hoping everything is okay there
Okay,
because
man.
he's obviously beloved in Philadelphia.
Right. Well, I mean, I like Charlie, man. I mean, he's a pretty much a legend. I mean, in our world of, if you're a baseball fan, uh, maybe not so well known as a manager, if for just a kind of somebody just casually watches the game. Uh,
Yeah, I mean a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of Hall of Fame type of players have given him a lot of credit for enhancing their careers as a hitting coach. I know Jim Thome basically gave him almost full credit and stuff in the past. So
yeah, Battery sending out percentages. We got Reese, get well for Charlie. Yeah, thoughts and prayers for him and the family. Uh, so yeah, any. So also, this is my other thing, and I touched on a little bit with my dad. And so with Otani, seems like this is not a well breakup in California with the Angels. But how this whole thing went down this weekend with his locker being packed up and 10-day IL, and maybe it's the oblique thing isn't an oblique thing. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of, Trout wants to talk to management. It's been rumors wants a trade. Uh, does this tarnish Tani's chance for MVP this year?
I mean, I think he should still get it. I think it's unfortunate he's not playing the last 2 weeks of the season. It's not like it's June. And he really obviously slowed down in the last 2 or 3 weeks since the injury happened. He might have had a home run or two, just
Right.
didn't get a chance to do a lot, obviously sore and such. But I still look at it and it's like, I mean, Corey Seager's had a fantastic year, but it's not. If the Rangers were 15 games back and he was continuing to play well and they battled their way into the playoffs, it'd be one thing. But like they've literally been worse in the last few weeks. Texas is like hanging on for dear life. They're there with them, Seattle, Toronto. Those three are kind of battling for that last spot. And, that's the way the wild card goes. 2 days, one
And the
team looks
Astros
good.
for the division.
Yeah, they're still in that as well.
Right.
So, like, I think he's had a good year, but, like, Corey Seager spent a ton of time on the IL this year, too. It's not like he's been playing all year. So it's like
Right.
Otani misses a few weeks now. I know a lot of it, you mentioned in your video earlier today or yesterday, it's a lot of what have you done for me lately stuff, and we might see that with the rookie of the year. And I think that can definitely and it should play a factor to some degree. But if I had a vote, I would definitely go Otani over Seager.
Right.
If those are the top two candidates that people are
Yeah,
thinking.
it's just a
I
shame.
just it's obviously it was a big debate around the trade deadline and the Angels. Were they in? Were they out? And I think it's unfortunate for them that they played fairly well right before it and they got themselves in the race. And it was like, you kind of have to go for it if you can get in. but they did struggle a little bit a day or two before the deadline. They made the decision to go all in. Unfortunately, going all in this year was to acquire players that honestly aren't that good. Like Lucas Giolito, I know people are like, oh, they got him. Like, what is Lucas Giolito, honestly? Like, he's the type of guy who could throw a no-hitter any given day, but on a good team, on a real serious World Series contender, he's like a 4 starter.
Right.
He
right.
might be a 1 or a 2 on a terrible team.
Yeah.
And then like Mike Moustakas, like, listen, Mike Moustakas was a huge part of a Royals championship team, a team that went to 2 straight World Series, but that was also like 7, 8 years ago. Like, he's a guy who's bounced around recently. They made some other trades as well. Randall Grichuk, guys like that. They're got, and they gave up a lot of prospects.
And then they released them all.
And then they ended up going, oh, we're screwed. And they tossed them all on waivers to save money to get under the luxury tax to save a couple $1 million. Meanwhile, they could have traded Ohtani, probably got as good of a return as you could ever get at the deadline. And now it looks like they're almost certain to lose him for nothing.
I couldn't see.
I mean, I guess they'll get some sort of draft pick compensation, but like whatever, you roll your eyes at that.
Well, they'll offer him something to cover that.
Yeah, of course.
But I just Ohtani. I mean, it sounds like he wants to be playing for World Series, like, or at least be in contention. As a person, as an athlete, he didn't come to play in the MLB just to hang out. He wants to be one of the best in the world, and so that's just not going to happen at the Angels. And I think Trout.
Unfortunately, they need to. At a certain point, you have to make a decision. Most teams wait too long. From experience with the Phillies, the 07 to 2011 run, they waited too long. They went like 4 years beyond where they should have. And you get it going for it a year or two later. But when you wait 3, 4, 5 years, that puts you back 5, 6, 7 years. And that's the problem with the Angels right now. And Mike Trout, like you mentioned, before I interrupted you, he's not getting younger. He's 32 now? We still think of him as a young player,
how old is Harper?
Harper is, I guess, 30. He'll be turning 31.
Yeah, so if he's turning 31, then he's 32, most likely. I think he's a year older than Harper.
Unfortunately, Mike Trout has had 1 full season in the last 5 years.
Right.
And again, the Angels have some nice young players, but they don't have any. I mean, they missed with Joe Adell. Joe Adell was supposed to be a potential all-star type of player, and he can't even stick in the majors with them. They have some good young players they acquired from the Phillies, but Ohapi might be an all-star caliber player. It's too early to tell. Moniak, probably not, but he's at least a major league player.
Right.
It's probably time for them to just go, hey, we got to blow some things up. We got to. And I don't know so much that it's a culture thing. I know there's some people, namely Wesker Griff, who hates the Angels organization. But ownership's probably a problem there because they've spent foolishly, and they should probably spend some more money for international free agents and international scouting. That's a big thing that the common baseball viewer probably doesn't think a lot about, but that's where a lot of stars come from. Plus the draft, they've been calling up their draft picks fairly early. At least our guys are making the majors. But obviously it's been made clear this year it's time to go in a different direction. And they missed out on a chance to acquire a couple big league caliber players or top prospects by holding on to Ohtani, who doesn't end up finishing the year with them this year. And again, seems highly unlikely. You never say never, who knows, but I find it hard to believe he'll end up back with the Angels next year.
Well, speaking of players from other countries, there's another Japanese pitcher that's be up for bidding war again this year. Senga has a partner. He has the same agent as Senga and Edwin Diaz, and it sounds like he wants to be a Met. So hopefully we can have a 1-2 Japanese punch. I mean, let's talk about Senga. Can he be?
He sucks.
Yeah,
His,
can he be
his Sapphire card ain't worth shit.
top 5? Well, we're gonna get into that. Could he be a top 5 MVP and top 5? Not MVP. Cy Young and top 5 rookie of the year.
I mean, I
Candidate?
don't have the list in front of me, but it'd be stupid if he's not top 5 for Rookie of the Year. He probably could be top 3.
What's up, Nats, man?
What's
And
up,
even
though?
Cy Young.
Sorry to let you know last minute, man. Sorry about that.
I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but I don't see why not. I mean, National League Cy Young's kind of
Well, he's
a little bit
number
wide
3.
open. I
He's
think
a-
Blake Snell's
he's,
assumed to win it, but
he's number
Justin
3.
Steele's had a great year as well for the Cubs.
He's number 3 in ERA. I forget where he's at in strikeouts. He's number 3 in rookie strikeouts. Pardon me, number 2 all-time rookie strikeout leader with the Mets, second to Dwight, to a man named Gooden. And let's see what else. His problem is walks, because Japanese pitchers, the walk just doesn't mean that much to them. Giving up a base, they're not going to give in to a hitter. So that just doesn't mean as much to them. Let's see, we got Westergriff answering you. I don't hate the Angels. I just call a spade a spade. The Angels have been a joke of an organization for the last 2 decades. Truth hurts.
I mean, they've been a bad organization for 7 or 8 years.
Right.
They were in the ALCS back in 2009. They were kind of a consistent playoff team back then.
When you have a
Two
dumb thing
decades
like a rally
strong.
monkey, you should have a couple of decades of bad times. So
I mean, hey, they maybe sold their soul to the devil back when they won the World Series in 2002. So maybe things will turn around.
there's some truth here about it. Spencer Strider should win a Cy Young for mustache alone. I know the number 1 pick, he has a nice mustache himself out of LSU. Let's welcome Nats, man, to the show. Thanks for coming in,
What
Nats,
up,
man.
Nats,
Sorry
man?
to late notice, or no notice. I just been working overtime and forgetting, and Mike asked to come on early tonight. And you been catching up with any baseball, Nats, man, as the year's winding down?
I was actually watching a little bit of the Braves game.
Okay.
The other day, so that was pretty interesting to watch. I was kind of surprised. I was really, kind of surprised. They got behind like they did. But that's about the only thing I've watched. I did get a credit, just to update. I don't know if anybody else did, but I got a credit to my cable bill. So I'm assuming everything is back online. I'm getting a credit.
Nice.
They gave you money back. That's a shocker.
Yeah.
But they just take more money.
For real, brother.
So what was the I had a question for you, Nats, man. What was going to be the question? I had one on the tip of my tongue. So with that being said, we're coming down to the end of the baseball season, but as collectors, this is where we're watching, who's going to be the guy that, baseball is a sport that most people watch in your area. We talk about this all the time. It is still a national sport, but now with local television the way it is, it's become more of a localized thing. But when the playoffs come, that's the time to see the stars all over and see them bloom. We talked last year. I remember Let's Talk with Natsman, and who were we talking with Natsman about? Might have been with JD, about players that stepped up in the playoffs that really excited.
I think you're right.
And I'm looking forward to that type of sport. But for this season, is there a player that's jumping out at us as a collector that maybe we haven't been really thinking about? And I'm just coming. I haven't even thought about this question, but it just hit me because this is a card show. That I know you sell, Mike. This is one of the reasons why I wanted you on tonight. Is there a player that's popping that you was like, whoa, where did this come from? Or, a guy that has come up? Or is there somebody that we are looking for out here in the card space? And please, in the chat, please chime in as well. Anybody
mean,
great?
I think things just cycle through with who's hot, and not necessarily who's hot in the hobby as a whole, but like you said. So I think baseball, obviously, you have diehard fans that actually watch the games, right? And then you have
Right.
people who don't watch the games that are just kind of general fans. And then, like, you're going to have national people who obviously live and die baseball every day. But generally speaking, and you could say this about the NFL and things like that as well, but like the localized market is the biggest viewing market. Um, I know earlier this year, like both the Pirates and Reds, the Pirates once upon a time were having a sensational season. Obviously, they fell off big time, even well beyond for the first half. But like Topps team sets, I sold hundreds of team sets from all the cases I opened, and I would list them in those big bulk listings where you could go down.
Mm-hmm.
Sold out of Cincinnati Reds and sold out of Pittsburgh Pirates. Didn't sell out of any. I think I now finally actually sold out of Minnesota Twins. That's not who you would anticipate, generally speaking. I feel like most people would be like, oh, the Yankees, the Red Sox, those teams. Spencer Steer at one point, I'm sure he's cooled off a bit, but like every time I would list a rookie card of his, granted, they were $1, $2, $3 cards, sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out. So it's kind of interesting to see how things like that develop.
I love this, and I meant to bring him up earlier. My bad. There's one player ahead of my mind. Matt Olson seems to be off the radar. He just set the franchise record for home runs. I think he broke Andrew Jones's record, but he replaced Freddie and plays on the same team as Acuna. This is very true. Matt Olson, 52 home runs, really not being talked about. Probably going to win the home run chase this year.
Unless Pete Alonso goes absolutely bonkers in the
I think
next
he's
2 weeks.
45 right
Yeah,
now.
he's like 7 behind.
Yeah, so and Otani's out, and they, at one time Pete was in first. He got hurt, and then why pitch to him? Yeah, they actually, yeah. But that's a great person. Matt Olson, he played for the A's, was a really hot prospect, rookie with them. West Coast A's, just a bad mix for a hot player. Then he goes to Atlanta, and now that team is full of stars or next high tier players. I mean, is that somebody that could just go off in the playoffs and people will be like, I need to collect Matt Olson, man.
I mean, his rookies are somewhat expensive, at least in high grade stuff. I would say expensive compared to what you would expect. And that's mostly because I guess he was 2017, 2017, I think. And so he kind of flew under the radar in terms of back then everyone was getting Judge and Bellinger and all that stuff slabbed when, it was like $7 a slab. I actually have a few from back then. But like even during that boom era, like when everyone was slabbing Bo Bichette, Luis Robert and all these guys, like he still wasn't getting the love. So there's just, who knows what the pop count is? I have no idea. I'm sure it's not low pop, but it's low compared to all these other guys.
Is he the next Paul Goldschmidt?
So I think that, has raised those prices, but generally speaking, other cards, I mean, they do sell like low price cards of his will sell, but he doesn't get the attention because Acuna gets the attention. And then there's, like you said, so many stars there in Atlanta, in Albies and even Strider and, all these really good players that are locked up well below market value there in Atlanta.
You're talking about the Braves, and I watched the Braves game, but talking of two former Oakland players that slaughtered the Braves. One was, I think you need to watch, and these aren't, and the two guys I'm talking about, they're not brand new to the league or anything, but they're relatively new. AJ, Pup, certainly.
He's had some injury issues, but yeah.
But hey, he struck Matt Olson out.
Yeah, Oh, that doesn't mean it's not good. I'm just saying
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
missing.
And then Jesus Lizard. I've always been a Jesus Lizard fan.
Uh,
I think he's underrated a little, and I think
right.
these some of these people, because he was in that class. He was in that class that was, he was expected to do something, and being where he's at hurt him, and he did have some injuries, I believe. But then he got traded out, opt out, or whatever. But
Oh, I see a
you know,
puppy in the mirror.
yes, you see me like
Playing with
she
the
wants to
puppy.
play. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
wanting to play. So
yeah,
um,
yeah. And I mean, you got that team in Austin Riley. You just don't hear
That's
you.
what, like,
About.
even
yeah,
when I'm thinking, I'm like, God, they get so many starts in Austin Riley. Like, his
I mean,
rookies, dirt cheap, his regular cards. I mean, Brave stuff sells.
right.
Because, I list and sell a
But they
lot
have a
of, like,
ravenous
lower
fan
things.
base all over this country still.
Braves sell really strong. Phillies sell really strong. Um, Kansas City's surprisingly pretty popular. I mean, granted, they don't have many big names, but like just in terms of like
Bobby
team set types of stuff, like it's
Bobby
really
Witt
interesting.
is going to be up.
Toronto does not sell at all. I don't know if that's because out of country and shipping and all that stuff, but like the Rocky Marlins, Natsman mentioned Marlins. You got a better chance of selling Big Scott's paperclip collection than you do Marlins cards. Oh my goodness!
yeah. It should be interesting though with the playoffs. How people want to try and make a run on something. I think those might be some sleeper,
Well, see here, Ozzy
New Year
Albies
sleeper.
here. I mean, he was supposed to be the guy. Ozzy
Hmm.
Albies was supposed to be the guy, and then Acuna comes up same year, right? Kind of takes the spotlight away from him. But Ozzy Albies, if he was he might be a stud superstar if he was on another team. But he's playing with his best friend, and they're loving life. And we won't. And then unless it's Josh Johnson. Uh, with Amish Dave here. Then we got Marlins cards are cheap, and I love it. Yeah, collector's dream. Uh, uh, they sell because you're buying them, Dave.
I bought the last Marlins card I think I bought was Darren Dalton Marlins card.
I think the last one I bought was maybe
Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza when he was did the one when he's like running the bases, like the
Yeah, and I'm not like
I
I've seen like Gary Sheffield stuff, but like I'm talking like the current year stuff, like the
right.
Marlins. One of the products, I think it was Heritage. Like there were so many more Marlins cards than any other team. Like when you broke it down, I was like, why?
Yeah.
I wonder how many people are going to still hang on. You're talking about that, hang on to Franco cards because I was looking on eBay and one or two other videos and they're showing that people are. I mean, it's nowhere like the cost that it was, but still, I think it's why are you paying $300 for a card for somebody who's probably not coming back? And definitely
They're
doesn't have
just
any impact on the sport right now.
they're just
Speculation.
taking a chance, hoping that it's worth 4 times the amount. But even if it's all dropped and proven like straight up innocent, that'll have a stain on his
Mm-hmm.
market
Yeah,
for a while.
sure does. So I'm going to get into the topic tonight, and this is a big reason why I wanted you on, Mike, because you've been doing a lot of breaks here lately. Seems
Yeah,
like
when
there's
you
been
first sent some messages, I was like, "What
product.
is this going to be an interrogation? Like, what's going on?"
No, but I wanted you on because I was like for somebody, and I was going to have JD on too because he had a. I put a link in my yesterday's video for JD card, sports card collecting. I think. So I'll trade Greg Jeffries for Wander Franco. Let's say, hey, Big Sky, what's up? 357. So, but here's my thought. What are you doing, man? Sapphire, did you look at that checklist before you purchase? Like, how many
Oh, I
cards?
knew the checklist.
How many cards are in that checklist to start with?
Well, Topps Chrome Sapphire. I gave a little small brief history lesson, I think, in my break. I can't remember. I think I did that.
You did.
So it was originally produced as a full factory set, and they only made I don't remember. The first year was either 150 or 250. I know the second year was 250.
Well,
And
when it was
even
a factory set, they didn't sell very well.
no, they didn't. Even 2018, you could buy those boxes a week or
Yeah.
two later, and now they sell for damn close to $10,000 a box. But even 2018, I believe the print run is 250 base cards. It's
That's all
actually
it
easier.
did.
Like that's why the Acuna, and I don't know what the current prices are, but the Acuna base card in that set was always more valuable than the auto because there's actually less of the base cards. Because the autos were 4 per box or whatever, and it was 100 cards per box, base cards, and it was close to a 700 card set. And unfortunately, they changed the format starting in 2019 because, of course, and the hobby, everyone thinks the hobby boomed in 2020 and obviously went to another level in 2020 during the pandemic, but it started booming in like 2017. It did start rising back in 2011, 12, 13. It was a slow rise, but it was rising. But
Well,
2017,
the retail didn't start booming until buying all
yeah.
the stuff off the shelves.
Well, I remember, no, yeah, that was 2020, but 2017, the Judge Bellinger rookie year really got a lot of attention, and it did bring actually a lot of new people into the hobby, or brought more attention at the very least. But you could still go around and buy retail and stuff. And then, of course, you had 2018 with Acuna and Atani, and the crew in 2018, Juan Soto later in the year. 2019, you had Guerrero and Tatis. So it really started boosting to another level there. 2019, after Sapphire was getting more popular in the hobby, they went to the mega boxes. And it's the same format as now. You're not getting a ton of cards, but you at least got a guaranteed autograph. And I think 2020 you might have gotten an autograph as well. And now the last few years, it got harder to get an autograph, and then now they don't have autographs, which hurts. And you have the color parallels, but like you said, 32 cards a box, 660 card set. It's all the cards from Top Series 1 and 2. So I actually did the calculation earlier today, and I forget exactly what it is, but 660 cards, 32 cards per box. It will take you at least 20 to 25 boxes to hit the base card you want. And that's fine if the boxes were $40, $50 a box. But at $240 a box, it would cost you probably like, $10,000 to hit
Did this even
the
make it
cards
to
you
the
want.
Topps regular? Was this a 582 exclusive purchase?
So I bought 2 boxes on 582, and then when they went live, they didn't go live for just sale. They went into a lottery, and you had to enter your information. And if you won the lottery, then it automatically purchased it for you.
Oh,
And I think, from what I saw, most people who entered the lottery got them. So I don't think any went just to public sale.
okay,
But the problem with the product is, like I said, at $50 a box, cool. They're beautiful cards. I would love to do the Phillies team set. But at $240 a box or so, shipped from Topps, there's no margin to be able to sell those sealed boxes. People are selling them. The guys who are selling them are either breaking even or losing money after eBay fees and all those types of fees.
Well,
and if you break them, it's $8 per card.
Right. Because all they are blue atomic or cracked ice, whatever brand you're looking at. I think the shine has kind of wore off of it. It made, when they first came out, everybody's like, "Ooh, I gotta have it," but now it's kind of like, and no, at $300 whatever dollars a box, no auto. You did get 2 golds and an orange.
3 golds and an orange, but
3 golds of an orange, and the one that you showed that you opened, but none of them were. Even as a collector, you would have been just like, "What?" It was no fun to even watch you open. I cringed. I'm sorry, Mike. I was like, I'm sitting here going, "Why? Why?" I'm sitting here, not yelling, just kind of just like I'm doing the old Mike.
Did you? Is that where you got your picture for the thumbnail? Snap the selfie while you're watching the video.
I'm like, what is this? Because what I guess what I'm getting at is like what JD was talking about was the whole thing was with the cosmic chrome, and I think he was showing cosmic chrome, and what was he? What's another one that just came out? Cosmic
Bowman Chrome is very expensive as well.
Yeah, not
You
Bowman
do get
Chrome.
autos.
It might have been like Topps Chrome, but it wasn't. But he was sitting there talking about, comparably speaking, as expensive as Cosmic is, comparably speaking to some of those other ones, what you get out of a box is a lot more. Like a lot more color. You get an auto or a chance at I don't think it's auto. I don't think you're guaranteed an auto per box, but you got a chance at an auto. And the inserts are just awesome. And that what is it called? The like they have one. The further you get away from the sun, the less amount and all that other stuff. Like they have these like things that these chases, I guess. At least it's something, you know. I wouldn't pay that much for it. I'm just going to wait for you to buy a case and get the Pete Alonso's. But you know, I just I'm just very, very like when you look at that at the pre-sale, do you look to see? Because I know for you, with your how many cards you have on your site now, your eBay store?
30,380.
So when you
And
look
about
at
8 more football going up after I look up what these parallels are called that follow our show.
the elites,
Yeah, I literally bought one box of that just for the hell of it.
I was like, nice break.
Yeah, I was like, okay. No, you said great break in the comments. I was like, that
Did I
sounds
say
far
great
fetched.
break? When you buy, like, what are you kind of looking for? And we're gonna get to
Topps
that
Chrome
too.
Sapphire. The reason I bought Sapphire, honestly, one, because I wasted money on the Montgomery Club thing. I re-upped it.
Mm-hmm.
Would I go and buy it straight up if it was just available? At this point, probably not. But because I had it, you re-up it. You get the set eventually. They send you the set way after the year ends, so that's kind of annoying. But a few years ago, the Montgomery Club, and this is like a lot of stuff in the hobby right now, it's become incredibly watered down. A couple years ago, you'd buy the subscription, you get actual pre-sales, you'd actually have a chance to get stuff that other people couldn't get. Like Brooklyn Collection used to literally be exclusive to the Montgomery Club, and now I don't even think this year they offered it to the Montgomery Club. They just put it on their website, if it even came out, or I'm thinking about last year. And then you got like 5 sets throughout the year, which weren't worth a ton, but I mean, you got 20 card sets and some $2, $3, $4, $5 cards in there. A couple of the sets came with autos. Like you get none of that now. You get one. So it's like you almost feel obligated. Like, okay, well, I already wasted money on this. I guess I should take the opportunity to buy this product that I'll be able to buy in 3 days anyway. I think some of it with Sapphire, and I think a reason that it sells so quickly is the fear of missing out that people have, because despite the fact that that brand has become very watered down at this point for multiple reasons. One, they've given you less with the no autos. They've obviously increased production. I don't have the numbers in front of me. It's still a fairly limited run product, but it is, I'm sure, fourfold what it used to be at the very least. And you know, they've watered it down in those ways, but then also, like you said, there are sapphire looking cards. Like there's a blue cracked ice in Topps Chrome Platinum that looks very similar to that. And obviously in some other products as well. But I do think, and I've talked to a few people about this, while I'm not personally interested in just holding the product, and nor would I recommend people going out and spending the money it costs now, I think the product is limited enough that if you fast forward 10 or 15 or 20 years, the fact that there's no autos, there's no redemptions, I do think there's a chance those boxes do rise substantially in price. Not that it makes sense, because still breaking them in the future, most of the cards, no one's going to care about a lot of the base cards. But like an Adley Rutschman to 5, or whoever, Corbin Carroll, whichever one of those players inevitably ends up being a Hall of Fame type of play, that will be a card I think people will look at. And a lot of people are going to rip these open. People are going to dump them and sell them at losses just to get their money back, rip them, try and sell the stuff. But like, do most people want to play for 15 to 20 years down the road? Probably not. So, I mean, most people are just going to lose money on them. Most people are going to be like me, open a box and, hey, I got $40 for a Mackenzie Gore gold. That was a win, I guess. But, you know, when you pay $250 for the box, you're still pretty deep in the hole.
The answer battery, yeah. I don't know. So I don't know if they're calling them planets, because it's also got the sun as the first thing, and then it moves out from the sun. So, but Pluto is the last one, yes. So I don't know if it's just outer space.
Is Pluto a planet right now or not? I know that
it is not a planet. It is a. I forget what the actual terminology is. I almost said moon, but I don't think that's correct either. A planetoid,
something far up in the sky that's cold.
Twinkle.
This is so. Let's talk about this for a minute. I text you about this.
Bowman Chrome, baby.
Bit. Yeah, me and you went back and forth on this the other night. So Bowman Chrome, you said you really enjoyed this in your video. You thought it was a good idea. It's an enjoyable chase. I have yet to see one out in the wild. Are these numbered, or is this just something?
There are color parallels. I don't think the regular one is numbered, but I think it's very hard to get. The Babe Ruth is bullshit, because he actually had a Bowman Chrome card in the national packs a few years ago. So that's actually a lie. It's his first Bowman Red Sox card, I guess.
But it says it has first up in the corner. I've seen the picture.
Yeah, that's why it should say Red Sox on it.
Yeah.
I think they made Clemente, Johnny Bench. They only made a handful of them. I was actually intrigued by the idea of Tom Brady. They mentioned that. I don't believe he's in this product. I guess he'll be in a future one. I think it's a fun little insert. I think the base versions are far too hard to pull. I don't know what the odds are offhand, but I feel like they're like 1,000 packs. Like, they're not easy to get. I think the base ones are cool. Color parallels are always neat if you want to chase them. But would I recommend spending $5,000 on a Johnny Bench orange first Bowman refractor auto when you could probably buy a 68 Topps autographed PSA DNA slabbed for, like, you know, far less? No, I wouldn't. That's
where my confusion is. Yeah. I just fun concept to put whatever $100,000 bounty or whatever the ridiculousness is of it. I know it's to help push the product and all this stuff, but my God, it's not even a playing days card. I mean, it's, you know, this is where I kind of get into foolishness with when some people talk about new cards and the foolishness of the pricing of it. I like the concept. I think it's a fun concept, but when you start, now the boxes are so expensive, people even that buy them won't even open them, because they know if they open them, they lose the value instantly.
Yeah, once you open them, most likely it's kind of like driving a car off a lot, even though used cars are expensive now, because, you know, cars are so much more expensive. But no, that's the problem with most products now. They're overpriced. It is set up for the collector to loot. And if you're buying a collector to make sets or whatever, opening just for fun, you can have your fun. But, and maybe it's a little different for you because you're so disciplined and you open one pack a day, so it takes you a month to open a box. So maybe you forget how bad a box is. And I don't know if you rotate different packs, different products.
I bought this when it first came out, and I still got packs in it.
But if you sit down and open a box that sucks, that's not so much fun. You might have a few seconds of fun. It's like, you know, watching a game. most games are fun to watch, but you go to a game or you watch a game that you're really anticipating and your team's down 14-0 2 minutes in, then it just becomes a painful experience that you
But
just finished out.
here's my
Been
quick
baller for
question.
me.
But they're
Here's my
just
quick
they're so
question.
pricey now that
Right.
it kind of takes the fun out of it, I would think, from all angles. If you're buying it to break to sell, you got to hit it big or you're screwed. And even if you're buying it as a collector for fun, like you're spending
It
so
sucks.
much that you start to feel
Entertainment.
guilty. Like, shit, I should have just bought the damn $200 card, which doesn't seem so expensive when you blow $200 and don't
Or
get a
more.
ton that you're dying for.
But it's kind of like watching porn. Once you're finished, you're a little ashamed, but you can't wait till the next one.
I suppose so.
And you heard it here first, folks.
Oh, I got demonetized.
Well,
There it is.
appreciate everybody being
Big
on here
Scott
tonight. Have a good
35
evening.
off the air.
But I mean, because here's my question for the room. Let me see if I can do a bounce back here. After you buy a box that sucks, does that make you want to go out and buy another box to redeem it? Or do you say, I'm done?
I say I'm done.
I think for me, like, I love opening stuff, but I'm not like addicted to opening stuff. Like, I actually, especially if I open, like, so there's products like Tops, which the influencers, the big time people will ignore because they'll pump like Sapphire, all this bullshit that most like, what the hell's the football brand? National Treasures and what the hell, Flawless. Like, generally speaking, from the grand scheme of collectors, nobody collects that shit. Like, literally, like 1% collect it.
Right.
A handful for every 100 collectors, like 5 or 10 will be like, oh, I have a Flawless card. Now, granted, a lot of collectors just, they buy their cards at Walmart or Target. They don't. A lot of people live in areas where there aren't card shows or even card shops, and so more people nowadays order stuff online, but most people aren't buying products that cost $1,000, $2,000, $10,000. So like a product like Tops, I'll open that and you can actually do pretty well with that because everything is saleable in there.
Right.
You open Sapphire, common cards, at best you're going to do like $3 a piece because people want to build their sets and that's just kind of the price they go for. And certain guys that are just losers, like Urias or some of these guys getting in trouble for stuff, like you're lucky to get $1. But Tops, like people build team sets, people do insert sets, people collect different players' teams, full sets and stuff like that. So for me, like if I open a case of that stuff, like I could open it all, but I actually I open a box or two and I'm like, whatever, I don't really care. I'll just start doing other work. And that's where I'll let someone else open them all because they have more fun with it because they just love opening stuff.
Battery on this, I don't work there. I haven't heard anything. I hope they continue it. That and the game within the game are two of my favorite cards that they release.
I do wish they would do more living sets. I know they're not going to. They went from 3 to 2, right? I just feel like
cards. Yeah.
It's too far in between of guys that I really want.
Well, and now what they tend to do is do a veteran or a legend and a rookie card.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or somebody gets traded, they'll have them eventually in their new uniform. Because once they make it, supposedly they're not going to make another one unless they get traded or go to another team. So I tend to pick up rookies and players that collect. I don't get all the rookies. I just feel like the ones that have a chance of, but who really knows, the ones that really have a chance. But
yeah, I look at it every week.
And I love the Tops now. Tops now to me, brought on the Panini, and I guess Mike, you asked what last week if Panini's going to be doing there. I think they are because I thought I saw one for last week NFL game. What do they call theirs? Panini
Instant, I believe.
Okay, because and Upper Deck does one too with their wrestling and hockey. But I don't think you have that without Topps doing what they did. Card of Babe Ruth as a Brave. Yeah, I mean, I really do like that. I love the Topps.com, and part of me is glad that people don't get it, don't understand it, and there's a part of me that don't understand why. Because Mike's brought it up before, I brought it up before. If you're talking about low number cards that are not numbered, and rookie cards or first cards, a lot of times the Tops now are the first way you can get a card in their new uniform or call up card, and at a low, even if it's 10,000 of them made, that's a low number in the gist of things.
Johan Rojas, dude's been unbelievable defensively. He's a call-up card, so I guess his rookie will be in 2024 Topps.
Well, let's touch on this too. I wanted to talk on me and you text the other day, Topps update. The checklist. Woo. I'm looking at Topps.com right now. They're pre-selling blaster boxes for $24.99. Now I know Natsman's texted me before talking about how crazy that price is. I tend to agree on that. And have you ever heard of this type of product being a shelf filler? Shelf filler. I heard that term for the first time this weekend.
Does that mean like a Bobo product?
I don't know. It wasn't live. It was on what's his name? The guy. It was on Bench Clear, and it was their roundtable discussion, and that was the first time I heard it, and it kind of hit me the wrong way because it made it sound like product that nobody really cares about, but yet I love Flagship. That's my favorite product.
So, I mean, I didn't see whatever video, but I'll tell you, I think more people will collect the Topps update than will collect a lot of these other products. Right. More people are going to buy Topps update. So again, there's a reason they make so much Topps, because that's the most collected set.
Right.
There are people who just buy their favorite player, or they make the team sets. Maybe they're psychos and they have a binder with every team set since 1951.
And a psycho that follows that psycho, yeah.
A lot of psychos, because I've heard from a number of people, hey, I started doing that. But people build the sets, like people, and especially Topps Update, like people will go out and buy the set on eBay, or they'll break a jumbo box and make their own set, because you don't get the update set
right
with Series 1 and 2, and they make far less update than they do 1 and 2.
To me, that's bogus, because it's part of the flagship.
And listen, there's some really good rookies and players in here. They're just not guys that are going to light the hobby on fire. There's not that many positions. There's some really good pitchers. And listen, they could all have 5 great years and crap out. That happens more so with pitchers than hitters. It happens with players of, from all positions, but pitchers are more likely, more susceptible to that. But people will collect the inserts. People will want team sets and such. So, like, is the price going to go flying high? Probably not. Is it a better product, in my opinion, than 2020? 2020 was a bad product for update. It was like Randy Arozarena and no one else. And not so much just that it didn't have a ton of rookies. Like, they just didn't even have enough cards to fill the 330 card set. If you remember, they put in, like, because there's no All-Star game and such, right. They did all those, like, Legends home run derby cards, and it was like
Legend All-Star games.
Yeah, the set was like filled with like Ryan Howard, Cal Ripken Jr., Ken Griffey Jr. Like, those are kind of cool cards, but like they don't really belong in Topps flagship of that year. It's supposed to be rookies and guys who made some sort of impact. So,
and more importantly, will they mess up the backs of these cards for the 3rd year in a row?
Probably.
Put them all in the wrong direction. I was looking at that and I saw a handful of. I sent you a list of some of the rookies that, one of them is just intriguing to me because I was if you want to call it prospecting, JJ Bleday, he's in this one as his rookie card. You have Corbin Carroll's debut. I noticed they didn't do as many debut cards in this one.
I'm not a huge fan of debuts personally, and I feel
Right.
like most people aren't. The first thing I did when I saw the checklist before I looked at the rookies, which it was what I expected. They weren't going to add, you get the spoiler alert now from Tops Now. All you got to do is follow Tops Now and see who's got rookie cards and who's got call up cards who will be in the next year.
Right.
I immediately went through the list. I said, damn, only 8 Phillies cards. I was hoping for 10. And then I was like, why isn't Cody Clemens in it? Because he should have had a Phillies card. He had a Tigers card in Series 1.
Right.
I understand most people could care less about what I just said, but that's what I was looking for. Then I kind of rolled through the rookies.
But you remember the day that the update, that's what the update was about, was people that came up pretty much before the All-Star break, trades, that stuff was all in there. And now that's kind of a forgotten thing. I want to touch on this. We do have a question. I hope it's a serious one. Kay McKinley, welcome to the channel. I gave my son my football cards collection from late 80s and 90s, Topps Fleer and Pro set. He doesn't know what they're worth. What is your guys' advice what to do with them? If you can look up Hall of Fame quarterbacks, that'll be the first thing to do and pull them out. Make sure they're protected. For worth, look up sales and on eBay, and there's all kinds of. You got Card Hedge, Card Ladder, all those. I don't know how many 80s and 90s are going to be on there for those. But that's where you can start. You can always get the good old Beckett to have some type of starting place for it. But if you have like the Pro set from the early 90s, late 80s, or
hunt down Bill Belichick rookies.
Bill Belichick rookie.
He's got a Browns card as a coach in one of those sets.
Oh, really? Well, I was thinking, you got Aikman, Dorsett. Those are late 80s, 90s, and even in mid 80s, you have some banger quarterbacks in there and running backs. So even some wide receiver, Jerry Rice. You just got to look for the Hall of Famers, pull them out, and
look up some of the players, learn some of them. I would say football is a very disrespected sport in terms of the history. Obviously, there's people who love the history of football, but the general football audience forgets about anything from like pre-2000.
Want to answer that one, Mike?
Not really. Who knows? He's a Marlin, so he'll have a few good years and then he'll find his way shipped out of town. But that guy, he has a chance to be really good.
Nice to see you here, Phil.
Stay healthy.
Battery, he makes a good point. It seems like 1/4 of the players in Series 1 are even on the team the season starts. Yeah, because you know what? They'll make Holiday, and Cody Clemens will be in Topps Holiday in a Phillies uniform. Put money on it.
They've gotten really weird with so I think Series 1, and I think it used to be bad back in the day too, and I think we just didn't realize because I think Topps used to come out really early. Like, wasn't that stuff out in like November? It was like out for Christmas.
Right.
And so I think there were probably a lot of guys not on the right team the next year. We just didn't notice because it wasn't like, we can buy a Topps Now card a week later after a guy gets traded.
Right.
But I do think it has shifted in the last 10 years back to like now Series 1 is like the new update. And update is just Series 3.
Right.
Because they do that a lot. It used to be years ago, it was actually called Topps Trade It, and it'd be rookies, guys who made their debut late in the season or by the All-Star break, whatever. And then guys who got traded at the deadline oftentimes would be in Topps Update. And now guys who get traded at the deadline rarely are. Maybe if you get traded in the first half of the season. Otherwise, you get like a Noah Syndergaard gets his first card, his first flagship card in Series 1 after he's already signed with the Dodgers. And then a month after it comes out, he's getting shipped off to Cleveland and then released and stuff like that. So
Right.
he'll probably have a Cleveland Guardians card in Series 1 next year, even though he was cut in,
Right.
early August.
Right. And we see a lot of that, and it's back in the day when I was a young kid, that's the way it was. Whatever team your player ended on the season on, or was in the second half of the season, when the next year came out, that was the card. He was going to be. He might have changed teams in the middle, in the all season, but he was going to be in last year's team uniform.
I
That's
mean,
just how it was.
that stuff even happened, 100 years ago too, because there's a lot of Grover Cleveland Alexander cards where he's in a Phillies uniform. He's photographed in a Phillies uniform, and it says Chicago. There's a lot of those releases too. Of course,
Yeah.
back then it was a little more difficult to get your hands on some images, I guess. But
Right. That's pretty funny, Barry. I just think, I'm with you. I wish they would just go ahead and call it Series 3 or extend it. I think it should be also included. I think they should wait till they come out with this before they come out with the sets. Tops, let's be smart. Make the sets part of the holidays and even have a holiday set. You make 40 different sets, make one holiday set for Christmas time. Um, I just think, they should wait and add those, 330 cards or whatever to that set.
there's
Make
part of me that would prefer to come out a little later so they'd have players on the correct teams, and there's part of me that does like that it's coming out. I believe release day is October 11th, so that's
I like the
10
release
days, 10,
playoffs.
10 days into the postseason, so you can
Right.
crack some and watch some games and stuff like that. So
Right.
I do like that aspect of it, and God knows there'll be 47 releases after that as well, since we'll have Topps Holiday and so many more. You could print off a checklist of things they haven't announced yet that I'm sure they will suddenly announce.
Right. And now I just want to say I'm not against buying boxes or packs or blasters at all.
I
I
don't know.
just
Hopefully, someone makes a rant video saying Big Scott 35 said we shouldn't buy boxes. Who is he to
that'd
tell
be
us how to
awesome.
hobby?
Put my name and at least a link to my channel when you do it. And then you come over and subscribe. But my big thing is, I just wanted to put out there. I watched you seem like you're cracking a lot of wax. JD came out with it, and I was like,
Hey, that's just when
this is all
everything
him.
comes out.
Yeah, and I don't have I love it. I can live vicariously through you because I don't break as nearly as much as I used to. Because for me, the prices don't make sense.
If
And I
I
don't
was
resell. I'm
not
not as vigorously reselling as you are.
so like the box of Bowman, the box of Sapphire, I was like, listen, and this is legitimately one of the reasons I opened it. I was like, I'll do one, get a video out there. Not that anyone's going to watch it anymore anyway, but I'll post a video and I'll get the stuff listed right away, get some fresh stuff on the eBay store because it does bring some people in. It brings some views. People click on your other items, pick up some other stuff. I do think I don't understand all that, and I don't do studies on it. But there's definitely an algorithm. There's an algorithm in everything, right? YouTube and probably Twitter and all that horse shit as well. Man, I'm cursing a lot on your channel today. I feel like Wesker Griff.
After my joke, anything goes now.
But like even eBay, like I think you should list, like if you have a lot of items listed, it's good to list at least something. I actually try my best to list even on days when I don't have time. I'll scan like a series of 9 cards, even just to get a few things on there, just to always add new stuff. And when you add brand new product, that I think helps. So
Right.
even if you're at best going to break even, I think it, generally will help you a little
Yeah,
bit.
and I mean, I've always said it. In order to get it out in the populace, it needs to be opened. And I do my fair share. I have now. I got because the way I've been opening boxes, I have a nice little half a shelf of wax in my collection
Wax
right
collection.
now. Yeah, in my collection, which pertains, baseball. I think wrestling. I got wrestling, baseball, and Star Wars. I don't think I have any other non-sports stuff in there right now. So I'm not opposed to opening. I just want to do it slowly so I don't feel like here was my issue, and I might have had a problem at one point. Is I would break it or I would open everything I had, and then I have nothing, and then I'm sitting here going, man, I need to open up more, and then I go out and buy, blasters or whatever, and didn't really care because I was still in the mode where I want to collect everything. Well, I've changed that. I'm very tight on now what I'm looking for. So,
sound like a lot of those people are scratching the lotto tickets at the supermarkets where they stop not even playing the game. They start scratching the barcode and just scanning them all to see if they win.
right. Well,
That's what you want to avoid.
Well, and was my question was, are we turning this into a lottery? Because that's
for a lot of people. Yeah. That's why people are addicted to breaks. People get bombed on breaks all the
chase, time. A lot more about chasing cards. You're hearing a lot more verbiage that goes along with lottery playing or even gambling at all. And I don't want it to turn because, a few years back when they were talking about EA Sports and all the stuff in my video game world, selling loot boxes and the randomness in that, there was people wanting to stop that as gambling, and I don't see any different in what we're doing. We're buying boxes in the physical world and hoping we pull, something out of it. And
there's a lot of people.
I've heard moms bitch because little Johnny didn't get the auto that he wanted out of the box. So
yeah, I mean that definitely happens. There's a lot of people who will buy like a case from a store, like a LCS, and they will literally sit there, open it. They take the stack of hits, they leave the rest behind. They don't think twice about it.
I didn't see that as much this year. At usually every national you go into, especially in Chicago.
Yeah, you'd see. Yeah, you didn't really see too many stacks of base cards sitting around.
I didn't see stacks of base cards because I look for them and I go through them and I'm like, look at I pull out. I even had guys handing. I was wearing a Virginia hat and guy was handing me out of the national packs Jerome cards, the basketball player, the year after they won the national championship. I was fine with that. So, I haven't seen as much as that, and even when I was watching that, they brought up great points. I'm not trying to poo-poo on that video with Bench Clear and the roundtable because they did bring up some very good points. People go watch it if they want to. But they were literally saying, in their minds, people were opening up boxes and throwing away all the base cards just to get the few numbered cards out. I like to know how much of that goes on, like all the, throwing away the base cards. Because like I said, I did not see it as much this year. I only saw one stack of base cards on a table.
I would like to fast forward to the future 20 years and see where certain things are. Because there's a lot of stuff that people consider junk now that I bet will have some value. Because you think back to the mid-90s, there was so much stuff that people didn't give a shit about that didn't go for anything. And it's very hard to find. There's certain things like I can't remember exactly what year it is. I'd have to look it up. 2010, something like that. They made a John Kruk image, very short print card, just a short print, in the Topps flagship. I've never seen one available for sale. So if one went up for $50, I'd probably end up buying it because I've been looking for one for 6 years and I haven't found one.
What year was that?
I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. But like it was either, I can't remember if it was mid 2000s.
I might have got it autographed.
But like, honestly, it's probably in a common box somewhere and someone just doesn't know. But not one has gone on eBay. Like I have saved searches. It's ridiculous.
Right. Well, my last thought, and it will end it on this. Everybody can go around the room. We can have one last thing here is I hope that it doesn't go that route. We can there's lovers of these cards, do I honestly? No, I honestly give away a lot of my stuff because of that. But, I I just opened so much stuff in my lifetime. I don't have room for everything. I'm trying to downsize. And I just want people to know, when you open these, you're either doing it for one or two things: entertainment or resell, or a combination of both. Uh, and just keep that in mind when you're opening this stuff, and stay within your means.
Yeah, if you're opening stuff, you got to do. It's got to be
Please,
for fun
right.
because
We talk in my groups here. We talk about the pricing. The retail pricing has gone up. It was we knew it was coming because of what happened in 2020, 2021. We knew it was coming. Um, and stuff still sells pretty well. So it's worked out for them. I don't know if the flagship it should be $24.99, and I don't know if Chrome should be $34.99. Maybe $29.99. But anyway,
Chrome should probably be $9.99 and flagship should be $24.99 because Chrome's
probably
so
Chrome
bad.
this year, they must be still printing it somewhere. As hard as it is to get color in that, I watched somebody go showing what they got in a box, and they thought they were proud of it. I thought it sucked. It was the autographs sucked. The colored cards that they did get, nobody special. And
That's why I found Platinum such a pleasant surprise because you
yes,
at least got some color, you got some autos, and it's not cheap, but by today's standards, about $110 a box, and you actually get something out of it, and it has a cool checklist. I was like, this is one of the best values of the year, at least in
right.
comparisons to Chrome and Cosmic Chrome and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I really like the Cosmic Chrome. I think they didn't have to go all out and make a Cosmic Chrome, but I think they should have. The inserts would have been great in something.
It's an improvement on Topps Fire. It's obviously far more expensive than Topps Fire. I never loved Fire. I didn't mind it, and I thought it was fine as a entry type of product, lower end. But I do think that type of design is enhanced by the Chrome technology.
I didn't realize Melissa Stark is doing Sunday Night Football. She's like the first the sideline reporters. Uh, so anything you want to add, Natsman? As somebody used to pop a lot of blasters and stuff, and
Yeah, I just said it before. I don't do it anymore. I'll go for the individual carts. A lot cheaper. Makes more financial sense for me. It it's not as fun. I'll say that it's not as fun.
right,
As as part of that chase is opening up a pack. That's really you miss that, but just kind of had to change things around with the way prices were going and being able to actually get product in your hand. And then you got to be careful where you get product at because you got jack legs out there busting it open, changing out packs and cards, and you don't get nothing. Uh, so yeah, but I think just do what makes sense for you. If it's to buy a card, I like what Mike said about the should have just when you get a bust instead of just spending the $200 on the box, I should have just bought the $200 card and been done with it.
right. Well,
I
I
mean,
really
the one good thing about the whole
go,
gambling aspect of today's hobby is as a collector, you can take advantage of that. And especially when a product releases, certain things will drop off and you might be able to get them really cheap at auction because people aren't paying attention depending on the time of the year. But some things just dry up and you can't find them. But when a product is released and people are getting killed on it, they're going to be desperate to get some money back. So you can make some offers and maybe get things at a price that makes great sense to you or win auctions because so many guys are listing stuff. So it does, give you an opportunity to get singles probably below what they should be because single prices, generally speaking, I don't think have risen to the same rate as sealed boxes have. Sealed boxes direct have gone up 2, 3, 4-fold in the last 5 years, and generally speaking, most singles haven't. And it is pouring rain here right now.
Well, I just want to end it on one last thing. I saw it was an interesting quote, and I'm going to try to do it off the top of my head, trying to come off of what we did last week about community. It said community is one person looking at pizza brought to the group and getting 3 slices because they think the pizza is going to run out, and another person looking at the pizza and getting 1 slice because they think the pizza is going to run out. And that's what a community is. You got a little bit of everything like that. So I thought that was interesting quote, made me want to think a little bit. And I want to end
Did it make you want to eat pizza?
It did. It kind of did. I kind of got a slice after that.
Gotta go to Pequod's.
And I want hey, I've been showing y'all the Pequod stuff on our chat. And if you haven't checked it out, the Patriots are wearing some throwbacks tonight that are, I like it. I like it. I don't know if that's throwbacks or is this going to be is that their new uniform now?
No, yeah, it's a throwback. They just brought back the throwbacks this year. They'll wear it a couple times.
Well, my high school wore those helmets, but we had blue jerseys instead of red. Just to give it that. So I wore those helmets at one time. So with that, y'all have a good night. Like, share, tell a friend. Welcome to all my subscribers. Welcome to the new names I saw in the chat. MikeO, you can find him on MikeO at the YouTubes. And Natsman, you can find here. He also is on the Instagrams, and he has started a new job. Check him out on the Facebooks and Instagrams if you're looking for something in the insurance world, life insurance and stuff like that. He can help you out in the North Kakalakis.
expanding soon though.
Yeah. So until next time, see ya.
Peace.